This is episode 72 of
Oh
Eat,
my
Drink,
God.
Write, I know, an urban fantasy whiteboard. And we are going to talk about writing prophecies. Last week we did the dreams, which bordered on, there's kind of a connection between dreams and prophecies, but this is the prophecy end of things.
Right.
But before we get into that, how was your week?
It was pretty good. I had a friend graduate from grad school, so she just got her PhD. So we went out and celebrated that, and it was very strange being out and about. Now that I'm like fully vaccinated and
Yeah.
all that stuff. So we did a little bit of bar hopping and all that, and then we went and visited my girlfriend's brother in Atlanta yesterday, and he bought us some fancy Korean barbecue.
Ooh.
So it's been a pretty good week. I'm a little bit stressed on the work side of things because I'm going to try to publish a paper or submit a paper for publishing within the next 3 weeks.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
fast. That's soon.
Yeah. Yeah, it's based on like one study, like it's based around one experiment, and it's called a short communication. So it's like a little short study, and then I'll publish that.
Hmm.
So hopefully that'll go well. So
Uh,
I'm getting all the data for that this coming week.
Well, good luck with that. That's
Thank you.
awesome.
Yeah, how's your week?
Ugh, okay, so
You're in a different location, I see.
last week was Chaos Court all
Yep.
week. I guess I should stop calling it that. I don't like it when I call it that. It was court week. And
Yeah.
so that was very long. And then I think I might have told everybody that my mom, so she had fallen.
Yep.
I think I did one episode from up here when she had fallen and broken her tailbone.
Mm-hmm.
I think we did an episode
Yeah, I
while I
think
was up
so.
here for that. Well, she's fallen again and she
Yep.
broke her arm
Yep.
and her face.
And her
And
face.
um, it's my sister was up and took care of her, and then my brother came up and took care of her, and now it's my turn. And we don't mind being here at all.
Yeah.
I'm in their office downstairs doing this episode. It's just heartbreaking to see, that her struggles.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know, I'm glad that I'm here because now we can help them do all the things they need to do. Because I
Absolutely.
know she's been struggling to try to do them herself. But I am tired, so forgive how I look and forgive how I sound.
You look
Um,
fine, Mama.
I had to drive all the way up because your dad had to work in the
Oh,
car.
wow.
So
Okay.
I did the drive and popped some brut champagne when I got here.
Good.
So I've been drinking a little bit, so I may be slurring my words.
Very good. Very good.
What are you eating and drinking?
So I already ate because it would have been a difficult thing to eat on the podcast, but it was a pepperoni pizza, but it was like
Oh,
it used fancy words and I can't remember the words on it right now, but it was like some kind of pepperoni pizza, and the pepperonis were little tiny things, so
hmm.
they were very cute and it was very yummy. And then I'm drinking rooibos tea because I was so busy today that I realized I didn't drink any water, so I'm trying to hydrate.
I gotcha.
So rooibos tea is here to save the day.
So I'm drinking, it's Brut.
Oh, that's a fun bottle
It's
though.
a
It's like
fancy
matte
bottle.
black.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Cordon Negro
Hmm.
Brut.
Okie dokie.
And I think it might have been opened the last time I was up here, so it's a little flat.
Oh, interesting. Well, I'm sure its alcohol content is just great.
It's working. And then we ordered McAdoo's, which is a restaurant up
Ah,
here for sandwiches and things. And I got
yep,
the chicken salad because we're still keto, of course.
yep.
And so I got chicken salad and we got some chicken wings.
Very
So
good.
we ate those. But like you said, I can't eat chicken wings while I'm trying to talk on the podcast. So
No, I mean, you could try, but I feel like both of us, it just would have been a gross episode for our listeners.
would have been interesting. So I'll
Yes.
just drink during the episode.
Well, that sounds wonderful.
But I have jokes.
Yes.
Okay, since we're doing prophecies, I have 2 prophecy jokes.
Okay.
My prophecy class just canceled due to unforeseen reasons.
You know, is that coincidence or irony? There's a difference.
Yeah, I don't know. We should probably do an episode about different writing techniques like metaphors and
It's
irony
true, like
and that
figurative
kind of thing.
language. Yeah.
Figurative language, yeah. Okay, this one is a little bit longer.
Okay.
So one day, a court astrologer predicted that the queen would die the next day. When she really did die the next day, the king wanted to get the astrologer killed as he thought that he had purposefully conspired to kill the queen to fulfill his prophecy.
Right.
The guards brought the astrologer to the court, and the king asked him, "You seem to predict very well. Tell me, when are you going to die?" The astrologer, with dead seriousness on his tone, said, "I shall die 3 days before you, O great King of Kings." His life was spared.
Oh, wow. That's clever. That was a good one.
Yeah, that was very clever. So tell us about prophecies. You all, this topic, I don't know that we're going to do justice to it tonight because I'm so tired and I didn't have time to do the research I wanted to do with it. But we can delve into it deeper later. But
Absolutely.
I love this topic. So you go ahead and start. What is a prophecy?
What is a prophecy? So I feel like there are probably a different couple of ways to define prophecy and to think about it. So the first of which is it's a message claimed by a prophet that they received from a deity. So
Mm-hmm.
these messages like would involve inspiration or interpretation or the revelation of the divine deity, that concerns the prophet's social world and events to come.
Yeah. In this kind of prophecy, you've got a really big challenge because then you've got to figure out what religion is in your world. You know, didn't we do an episode on religion or adding gods to
We
something
did
like
do
that?
adding gods. I don't remember if we did religion. I think my girlfriend was interested in a religion episode, and I don't remember if we did it or not. So we'll have to
Okay.
go and
We'll
check
have
that.
to do that if we haven't. But if you're doing a prophecy based on the deity, then that by definition, you have to figure out that, and that's a huge endeavor, which honestly, in fantasy novels, they are very epic. They can be very epic books with that
Right,
whole religious background. Think of Game of Thrones and
right.
all of that stuff in there. Um, but yeah, if we haven't done a religion one, we probably should.
Yeah, I agree. I think we'll have to go back and look now that
Okay.
we've got 72 episodes.
I know it's hard to keep track these days.
A little bit. So the next type of prophecy would be just a prediction of the future from an individual with the ability to see it, which I feel like probably applies even more to urban fantasy than, the deity one. Which I mean, the deity one can apply, I think, in any world. You can have religion, and obviously we do have religion in
Yeah.
today's world.
Right,
So,
right. It
um,
doesn't have to be an epic fantasy. It can be in today's world. It could be an urban fantasy. You know, religion can be brought in anyway, that kind of prophecy. And I
right.
hadn't really, well, I thought I hadn't really thought about
Wow.
I know, I'm sorry, about the individual with the ability to see it.
hmm
And so I was like, I really like this idea. This is, the poor main character is burdened with, seeing these snippets of information. And then I realized I have a whole race of people that has this ability, which I'll get to later.
Oh,
I know. And as you said this, I was like, oh, that is so cool. I hadn't really thought about it. Well, obviously, I have thought about it because I
because you
created
use
an
it.
entire race of people that do it.
Right. I feel like I don't ever like because I realized the same thing. My interview question, which we'll get to later, is, would you write one or have you written one? And in my head, I was like, I can't think of one, and I have. So
Mm-hmm.
it'll be fun to talk about in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So should prophecies be used in your novel? Because they're kind of cliche. A lot of people view them as cliche. But as we've talked about before, that doesn't mean you can't use them because things are cliche for a reason.
Right.
Obviously, they're
Right.
popular.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you can always put an original spin on pretty much anything. So if you can
Mm-hmm.
create an original prophecy, then do it. Do it up.
Yeah.
Also, if a prophecy fits your story, if it like fits into your narrative and it fits the characters, it fits your world, absolutely use it. Um, I would say don't use it as plot armor, though. Don't be lazy with your plot, and don't give away too much of your plot, I guess.
Yeah, I think it is easy to fall back on the Wow.
The prophecy.
Wow. The quapapa. To quote prophecy to explain things and make it easy. And that is a lazy way to do things. So think about how you're using it. I do
Right.
like that plot armor. I've never really heard that term. That's very cool.
Really? Have you not?
I have not.
Oh,
I do like prophecies and fantasy novels. I feel like fantasy novels are the reason that they're cliches because that's where you normally see them,
right.
but it is the perfect genre for using them. I mean, there is a reason, like you said.
Yeah.
My very first novel that I wrote right after law school has a prophecy in it. And so I'm really excited to see what information you have about it so I can decide whether I really need to rewrite that whole novel, which I already need to rewrite it, but the prophecy part of it,
Yeah.
because I hadn't researched prophecy when I wrote it. So I
Right.
didn't know any of the quote rules about prophecies. So I'm curious to hear more about what you've got to say and to tell you what I found.
Well, good, because I have some tips and tricks about
Okie
writing
doke.
prophecies.
Tell me, tell me.
So I got this chunk of information from writefortheking.wordpress.com, written by Gabrielle Massman. And there were a few things that she said that I disagreed with, but I thought that they were all interesting points because she has a lot of, I guess disagree is a strong word. I don't like the use of words like it must include
Right.
blank, you have to have this for it to work or whatever. Because like I fully believe in bending rules.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
think that's part of the fun of writing in a genre like urban fantasy or whatever.
Hmm.
So prophecies should prepare the people for a hero, and that's where she stopped. She said that it should prepare the people for a savior. Um, and so I added or warn of a character's actions, aka introducing a villain.
I mean,
Um,
and it doesn't even have to prepare the reader for a hero. It could be preparing the reader for an event.
I talk about that in a little bit.
Okay. Which then
um,
leads to a hero. But anyway, yeah.
Right, exactly. But yeah, so I mean, think of Lord of the Rings, where there's a prophecy that encourages folks to support Aragorn.
Hmm.
It prepares the people to accept him as a king and to help him on his journey as he's
Like
assisting Frodo and getting to become the king.
the people in the books or the reader reading the books or both.
Oh, that's a really good point. I assumed it was for the people in the books, like the
The
characters.
Yeah, like the masses that are going to embrace Aragorn by the time the books are over.
Right. But I think you also bring up a really good point with it being like it can also prepare the reader for the savior or whatever.
Okay.
So neat.
Um
Wait, I have one more point.
okay.
It could also have your prophecy warn oh my goodness. My brain
You're not
just
even drinking or
I'm
having
sure
driven all
not.
day.
Listen, I used my brain for experiments.
She did science.
I did
She
science.
has a better excuse than I have.
Oh, that is you could also have your prophecy warn the people of a potential villain and also have this character star through your novels that, your reader would be able to pick out, oh, well, maybe this character is the one that the prophecy is talking about.
Oh, I like that idea too.
I really enjoy the idea of adding a villain, because she specified it prepares the people for a savior. And I was like, well, what about preparing them for a villain, to come
Especially
forth?
if the villain turns out to be this character that we don't see as a villain to start
Exactly.
with. I
Yeah.
love that idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we can watch the character arc of this normal person shifting to the villain and how the prophecy matches that. Oh, I love that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Go write a book about it.
I think I should. I do like how prophecies give you that feeling of destiny.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I'm talking about when you're reading like The Wheel of Time, that whole series of books. Did you ever read all of
I have
those?
not read those.
Oh my Lord, they're so good. But you get that feeling of destiny for Rand and all of the characters actually, but that feeling grabs the reader.
Yeah.
And it revolves around the characters and events, and I love that feeling. Um, you know, the thought of the destiny, whether a person will fulfill that destiny or whether they're going to fail at it. And
Right.
the sort of Shannara books, not the series that's on TV, although I love that too. It's set after the original books.
Yeah.
I mean, he wrote anyway. I'm talking about the original 3 books. We have that feeling of destiny for Shay.
Yeah.
So I guess you're right. Actually, that gives us that cause to root for that you're talking about.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And like I said, I'll talk about events in the future. Um, Actually, it might be about right now.
Okay.
Make sure the prophecy has a clear purpose and relate them to characters within your story. So, using prophecy as a form of foreshadowing events rather than actions can make it feel kind of empty. So, I think, you can use a prophecy to foretell, oh, the great sundering of whatever, or the cataclysm is going to come. But I think you should also relate it to characters that will appear in your novel. Otherwise, it's like, well, why do we care about this greatest sundering? It's what's going to stop it? Is there anything that's going to fix it? Is everybody just doomed by it or whatever?
Hmm.
Is there
Yeah, there's
something more?
got to be some ray of hope within that prophecy. That's the whole point of prophecies is, this doom is coming, but there's this potential to not be doomed.
Right? Or there's
So
this character, and then because of this character, the doom is coming. you know.
that's true too. Interesting.
So yeah, I think foreshadowing can be done through more subtle means. I think prophecy should be more for character actions.
Interesting. Yeah. I got to say that, in fantasies, it is a great way. It doesn't have to be totally cliche. I really like it in epic fantasies.
Right.
I mean, I'm still not bored with reading that. Even though it's cliche, I still love to pick up a book that has that prophecy in it. I
Right.
want to see what's the prophecy. How do they fulfill it, or does it get fulfilled, or what happens if they don't fulfill it?
Right.
I still like it, even though it's supposedly cliche. I mean, it is cliche, but I still like it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think there's also like if it's written well, if you write anything well, even if it's cliche, it's going to be great.
That's true.
So I think it's not like a no-no, like you don't have to
Yeah.
avoid writing a prophecy. I think there are just certain things you can do to make sure that you are writing one well.
Yeah, I think basically that's what we're trying to get across is things to think about when you're
Y-
writing a prophecy.
Right.
We're
Tips and
not
tricks.
saying you can do it, you
Yeah.
can't do it, but think about it while you're doing it.
Yeah, I get really picky about being told what to do. So when people are like, you can't have this for your prophecy, I'm like, well, I'm going to go write it that way, which I think I get from you.
I was just about to say, you get that from your mother. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, okay. So make sure that your prophecy is also well communicated, at least enough to mean something to your plot. So, like, what I mean by this is like, it can be gibberish. Like, prophecies, they could have been handed down for thousands of years. And how are you supposed to understand like what they were trying to get at with that?
Hmm.
But you should have a reason for including it in your story, especially at that point in time, whenever you introduce it. And that means gaining some kind of understanding from it,
Hmm.
even if that understanding is actually misinterpreted by your characters for some extra fun.
Yeah, I love that. And in
Yeah.
fact, I think it's kind of necessary um too, although that in itself is becoming a cliche where the characters misinterpret
Right.
the um but like we've said, there things are cliches for a reason, and there's always a way to twist them up and make them different.
Right.
Also, try to write out the meaning of the prophecy and then start replacing the words with metaphors, vague explanations. This is another great thing to do in your writing journal, which we did
Oh
an
yeah.
episode on the writing journal. I strongly recommend that you do this in your writing journal. You work that prophecy, change out words, symbolism, metaphors, look at the words that can have totally different meanings and swap those out so
Yeah.
that you don't gyp your reader later on. It really meant, it really was that word. It was just a
A
different a
different
different
meaning.
meaning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thesaurus is your friend for this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Double meanings, mistranslations are fun. Irony, All of those are a writer's best friend when it comes to prophecies. I read a Redditor. I went on Reddit.
Yeah.
Jesus, I'm having a really hard
He's
time talking.
struggling.
I get a lot of my jokes from Reddit too, so I love Reddit. But actually, I thought I had. Oh, it comes later. I wow, I am really struggling. I use Reddit several times in this, but
Yeah.
a Redditor said, um, like if it's a chosen one prophecy,
Right.
like the
Like,
hero,
the chosen one
mhm,
comes and saves the world. Yeah.
the line could be something like a child born in darkness.
Yeah.
Okay, so this can refer to all kinds of things: born at night,
Right.
born in a cave,
True.
born during a storm. Or what if the darkness is a metaphor? So it's like born in a city or country full of corruption.
Oh, yeah.
What if the child's born in a city named after an ancient goddess whose name means darkness in an ancient language?
Oh, fair. Yeah.
I mean, how cool is that?
That is really neat. Yeah, that's a really good point. I think you can add a lot of spins onto a prophecy by doing that. That's really cool.
Hmm.
Um, sorry, I was thinking about it because I was like, wow, there are so many different things that you can
There
add
are.
in on, not just darkness, but even light or whatever. You can do it with anything. So I got caught up thinking about that.
Yeah, see, I sparked
Um,
something in that little brain.
it's a big brain,
Oh, and that
okay?
big brain, that scientific brain.
Don't try to force rhyming or poetic formats. Think about the format of your prophecies and how they might have changed over time.
Although rhyming can be fun.
I agree.
In Frickin' Fairies, this race that I was telling you about earlier, I have this entire race of Fae that can see the future and they can only talk in rhymes.
Yeah,
Do you
I
remember
forgot
that?
about those. Yeah.
I actually forgot about them until this episode. It's pretty funny, which is the tone of Frickin' Fairies. It is a funny novel. So rhyming can work.
Yeah, I don't think it has to don't avoid writing by rhyming. Oh my, don't avoid
Sorry,
writing
y'all.
either. But don't avoid rhyming. I was thinking along the terms of what if it's been translated?
Right.
It's probably not going to rhyme in a language that it didn't originally start in.
Yeah. And I love that whole concept too of, you know, think of the Bible and how many times it's been translated and what the meanings, how they shifted over time.
Right.
So, yeah, it might have rhymed in that original text, but when you translate it from that language to another language to another language to this current language,
It's
it
probably
might
not going to
not,
rhyme.
yeah, not going to rhyme, not going to really make sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just that's mostly what I was thinking of. But if you can rhyme and you don't struggle with rhyming, do it up. If you do struggle with rhyming, don't force it, is
Now,
basically
I
what
have to tell you, it was a struggle to write
I'm
because I have several of these characters come up during Frickin' Fairies, and we will see them again in Dern Dragons and Greedy Goblins. And they talk in rhymes, and it is extremely challenging to have a conversation as the writer to write their conversation and for the characters that are talking to them
right.
having to deal with that. It was actually kind of fun to
It
write.
sounds like fun.
Yeah.
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 All right. So these next few tips or whatever, I got from writerscafe.org, an article called Ancient Prophecies, tips by Dusty. So I don't really know what writerscafe.org is. I've never really used it, but Dusty was the username. So
Okay.
don't make it predictable, make it a bit vague, which I think you talked a little bit about.
Hmm.
Because anything too obvious takes the mystery and intrigue away from your story. And I feel
Yeah,
like
you
there's
don't
just
want
no
to
fun.
you
Yeah,
don't want it to say, and Roger comes along and will save the day.
absolutely. Roger.
Whatever.
But absolutely. Hey, I mean, there are guys named Roger. That's fine.
Yeah, yeah. Um, that just makes me laugh. I'm sorry. Or you can make it seem very specific based on the information that the reader and characters have at the time,
Hmm.
but then make it totally not what you're thinking, which we talked about that before. So
Yeah.
here's the other Reddit one that I thought I had put down first. Use symbols and metaphors.
Hmm.
So he gave this, or she, I don't remember if it was a he or she.
Yeah.
And this was what they said. When the two towers fall, the dark sun will rise, and only the forgotten dance, led by a stolen child, shall shatter the chains of night.
Oh,
So that's the prophecy.
okay.
The two towers are actually a pair of warring kings. The dark sun is an evil preacher spreading corrupt thoughts. The forgotten dance is a spell that's been lost for ages. The stolen child is a fairy changeling. And just to fuck with people, the chains of night are actually literally chains made of darkness that keep the sun from rising.
Wow.
I mean, right?
That's great. I love that.
Yeah. So whoever that is, if you have written books, I want to read them because
100%.
that sounds really cool. But the point is that okay, when the two towers fall, and we're all thinking, oh, towers, the
Right.
two
Like built towers.
towers.
Yeah.
But towers can mean something else, and the dark sun could, it's this priest that is spreading corrupt thought. I mean, how clever. So, and that's what we do, and that's where I think that writing journal comes into play,
True.
because you can, in your writing journal, without messing with your content of your book, you can write down all these different things and make it into what you really want to make it into.
Yeah. No, that's
And
a
you do have to make sure that you don't have your readers feel gypped, where,
true.
yeah,
Yeah.
we've talked
Yeah.
about that before.
Right. I mean, I feel like that example you just gave would be a really good way for your readers to kind of puzzle it out on their own. And, once they see what it actually is, it'd be like, oh, like that's really
Yeah, that's
cool.
awesome. Yeah,
Right. Rather
yeah.
than like, like there's no way that I would have ever been able to make that
Mhm,
connection or whatever.
mhm.
So
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Keep in mind that if your prophecy points out an obvious hero, then your antagonist will also probably know who the prophecy refers to. So, I think that's really important to keep in mind with, your antagonist's actions. The things that they do could be swayed by the fact that
The
they know.
prophecy,
Yeah.
the fact that they've seen this prophecy. That's like in Harry
Right.
Potter, the prophecy, and well, there's several prophecies in Harry Potter, but that's why Voldemort is going after Harry from day one, because of
Hmm.
this prophecy that he knows about,
Right.
that Harry's going to bring him down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Also, include a debate in your prophecy, or at least like make a debate come of it, I suppose would be a better way of saying that. So, like, make your characters and also your reader question the nature of the prophecy. So that's, we're kind of hinting at it,
Hinting
um,
at it.
hinting at that.
Are we from Georgia?
We're from Georgia, which we've been kind of talking about all along with, make it vague, make it kind of mysterious. You don't want to
Mhm.
give away everything. But, make everybody question who the hero is that it refers to. And this made me think of Harry Potter. And I haven't read it in a while, but I remember there being a debate over whether Neville was the chosen one versus Harry.
I had forgotten about that.
Yeah.
Didn't like Neville have the same birthday or
He had like the same
something?
birthday and his parents had been tortured and killed and like all this stuff
Yeah.
where it was like, oh, like Neville could have been the chosen one and not Harry.
Now, speaking of Harry Potter,
Yeah.
that that whole series used prophecies very well. Think, what was the teacher's name who did that prophecy?
Trelawney?
That, yes,
Professor
Professor
Trelawney. Why
Trelawney.
do I remember stuff like that? I haven't read those books in like 13 years.
But she, in her everyday life, comes across as this little bumpkin that, the big rimmed glasses that super thick, and yet she had this skill, this talent to tell these prophecies.
Yeah.
I just loved how that was done in that series.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, a lot of prophecies, even in the classroom, the little prophecies,
Right.
and then
Right.
she doesn't even remember she said them.
No, she's like, what did I say? Oh, okay.
What are we doing? Oh, yes, okay. And then
Right.
I love how she makes fun of Hermione because Hermione is not good at that, which Hermione's great at everything else, but
but
is
not that
not
one.
prophecy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Consider using self-fulfilling
Mhm.
prophecies. So, be careful with this one as well. It's also deemed cliche. It's starting to become more and more used and has been used a lot in recent fiction. But I think it's definitely fun to have characters fight against something and then make them have it come true because they fought against it.
I absolutely love self-fulfilling prophecies. To me, it's actually used more in the horror genre,
Hmm.
but I absolutely love it. That twist ending that makes the whole story. The story would never have happened but for this prophecy, and their actions because of the prophecy made the prophecy come true. I absolutely love it.
It's not a prophecy really, but it is like a self-fulfilling, like, fight against itself. If you guys have ever heard of the Little Nightmares game series, um, Little Nightmares 2 is extremely good, and it kind of involves that. So
That kind
check
of
it out if you're interested.
self-fulfilling thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember there was some movie, and I can't remember exactly what it was, um, but it created this loop. It was a time travel type thing.
There's a movie called
Uh,
Looper.
it wasn't Looper, which I love that movie too,
Yeah.
but in this one, this main character, gosh, I don't remember. I'll have to find it. Had either a vision or a visit from their future self or something,
Yeah.
and the future self was trying to warn that self to not go down the path that they went down, but because they appeared to themselves, that's what led them down that path.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was so good. I'll have to find what that movie was. Maybe your dad will remember
It
because we
sounds really interesting.
we
Yeah.
watched it together.
Nice. Okay.
I can't remember. Anyway,
Yeah. Um write the whole oh my goodness, my brain just like glitched out. All right. Write the whole story and then go back and fill in the prophecies so you can use a placeholder while you write.
I came across this too.
Yeah.
That bothers me. I mean, yes, the details can be done via placeholder. You don't have to do the details,
Right.
but I guess it's because I'm a pantser.
Yeah.
To me, the prophecy comes out while I'm writing.
Well, I think the point of this here, I think the
Sorry.
you're fine. I think that you can get the prophecy out um via writing by doing this as well. So I know you're a pantser, so like you would obviously get it out like while in the process of writing. Whereas I'm a rewriter, so I can write down a prophecy and go through the whole book and realize by the end of the book that this other thing would be really cool,
Hmm.
and I'm going to plot that out or whatever, and then I can go back and fix the prophecy to it.
Yeah, I have things come about because I am a pantser. Things happen, and then I'm like, "Oh crap! Wow!" And it takes me. I don't know.
Well,
I,
right.
li-
So like
I live on the edge.
what if you come across something as you're writing towards the end and you're like, you know what? I need to change the prophecy because of this.
And then I do go back and weave that in. I just can't, I don't have the talent that you do of rewriting. I weave stuff in. I don't know.
I just rewrite the whole thing and
I don't
put
know how
in
you do
whatever
that.
because it's good.
I can't do that.
I love it.
That it's too daunting to me,
No,
excuse
because
me, to
I know it's gonna be better the second time that I write it. I know things that I want to change. I can see how I want things to change. And that's where I think this would come in play is if I wrote a prophecy at the beginning in my first draft and then I am rewriting, I'm like, I know exactly how I want to change this
yeah.
prophecy
I
to
can see
actually be
that.
great.
I just can't do that.
Yeah. I think
Well,
you
I
probably
probably
could.
could
Yeah.
do that. It just hurts me to think about. But see, it used to hurt me to cut out scenes too, to
Yeah.
cut words, and I do that fairly easily now. So
See,
maybe I will eventually get there.
writer growth.
Yes. It only took me 50 however years.
Okay, to be fair, you had like 4 kids and a lawyer job and all that stuff to tend
That's
with
true.
also.
That's true. True,
So I
true.
don't have 4 kids and I'm not a lawyer. So
This is true. Yeah, by your age, I had my first kid.
nah, nah,
She's like, not gonna happen.
blah,
Nope.
blah,
Nope.
no.
Okay.
Be sure to make the prophecy consistent with your world. So just make sure it follows the rules that you've set up for your world. Don't have it reference magics that can't be performed that you as the writer know can't be performed within your world.
Yeah. And like you said, you as the writer know, but you can trick your reader. So it
Right.
could be that it's magic that isn't even known anymore,
Right.
that your reader is thinking that magic can't be performed. Why, that
Right.
that isn't something that can be done, but it's about to happen again because of this prophecy. So
Right. Right.
uh, in my twin saga, that very first book that I wrote, epic fantasy, definitely had based very strongly on Dungeons and Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
Um, well, I say that, but it's really not like any Dungeons and Dragons out there. But it has the chaotic good, the alignment, which we've
Right.
done episodes on alignment as well.
Right.
Um, it had that part of Dungeons and Dragons, but the world has changed so much in my story that wizards have devolved into basically court jesters. They're there to entertain the rich. And the main wizard character in my book is the head of the wizards. And as such, he gets the information that's transferred down through the years to that one head wizard. So he
Right.
has this information, which doesn't make any sense in today's world, but he sees events that are happening and starts to piece together that this prophecy may be happening right now.
Right. Right.
Um, and the prophecy has stuff that no one even thinks exists. But as the story goes on, we learn, both the reader and the people in the book learn that, oh, this
It does
used to be a
exist.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I love that book. Talking about it makes me want to go back and rewrite it.
Go do it.
I know I've got so much I want to do.
Go do it.
Ooh,
Um, yeah, make sure the prophecy is necessary. So, like anything else we really talk about including in your novels, ask yourself why you're including it. What impact does it have on your characters, the world that you've built, your plot that you have going? Why is it important? And I think
right.
that's probably a resounding tip, that is probably going to be throughout all of our episodes.
Yeah, I think that goes with anything. I mean, have a reason for what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you can get the same thing across without a prophecy, maybe you should, or
Right.
maybe you shouldn't.
Right.
You have to look at your book, your characters, what you're trying to get across, and determine if prophecy really is the best way to get that across. It's like in my book where I thought I was going to use that dream sequence, as it started with that, and then I went to the
Right.
prologue, and then it's been completely cut out because it wasn't really the way to get that across.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, same with prophecies.
Exactly. That's all I had though.
Me too.
All right. I do have an interview question for you, which I hinted at earlier.
Hmm.
Are any, oh my goodness, are any of your characters prophets? And if not, would you ever write one? But I believe you just said that you do have some.
I have a whole race of characters that are prophets, and
Right.
one of them in particular comes out in Frickin' Fairies, the first book.
Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And we actually meet several of them, but are very important. And actually that opens up a subplot that is going to come out several books down the road. But yes, so I have written prophets, which I had totally forgotten about until this episode.
Yeah.
And I have written prophecies in that twin saga, which
Yeah.
I had not forgotten about, but it was just a long time ago.
Right. Right.
What about you?
Yeah, so I was thinking about this because I was like, no, I don't think I've ever written a prophet. And I have in my Aura series, there's a character who kind of sees the future. It's a little unique the way that she goes about communicating that future. But
That sounds intriguing.
yeah, she's a fun character. But yeah, I think she might be the only one out of all of my books that has been able to do that.
So in Louis and Delaney, there's no prophecies, no,
Mm-mm. No,
in Aiden, no.
no. I mean, maybe in the future, but just with the way that I've set up that world and that magic system,
I could see someone having that kind of magic.
right? But
Yeah.
as of yet, no. Oh, that's a lie. Yes. Oh, yeah. No, there's a great character in Aiden. I forgot about him. He uses
As-
tarot cards, but it's there's a good
oh,
spin on that too. So
yeah.
yeah. So
I forgot
he's pretty
about
fun.
tarot person.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot about him
Wow.
too. So
This is a downside. Well, not a downside. This is a side effect of writing as much as we write.
yeah. Yeah,
Can't
yeah.
can't keep them all straight.
Mm-mm. No, no way. I also have a sentence challenge for anybody who's interested in participating.
Okay.
So if you're new to the podcast, it's basically a sentence that I give you and you use it somewhere in a little snippet of story. I usually do one page, but make it however long you want to be. You want it to be. I think I do one page because it challenges me to fit a scene, a complete story into a very small space.
Hmm.
And I use the sentence within it. So if you're interested in doing that, then the sentence for this week is a bit of dialogue, and it's, well, I didn't see that coming.
Oh, that's good for what
Yeah,
we just talked about.
yeah.
Yeah, and you can email it to us at our email. You can find everything that you need on our podcast, which is www.eatdrinkwritepodcast.com. You can find links to our social media, links to our podcasts themselves, everything. Also, you can go to the Patreon, Patreon, www.patreon.com/EDW and come support us. We would love that. I'm actually thinking that it's about time for us to come up with some merch maybe for our
Oh,
people.
nice. Yeah,
So I'm thinking about that. We'll talk about that more later if that comes to be.
definitely.
Um, I guess let us know if you like that idea. I don't know,
Right. Yeah,
maybe mugs or something. I don't know.
yeah.
I don't
No,
know.
we can figure it out.
So that's all that we've got, and I guess we'll see you next week.
Yeah, thanks for listening, guys.